The Pokemon series features over 300 abilities. Some of them are absolutely incredible, and others, not so much. But some abilities are exactly the same as each other, so that's what Elias and I want to talk about today. Alright, let's get started.
What's up, I'm Elias, and one of the most famous examples of identical abilities is Insomnia and Vital Spirit. Both of them prevent you from falling asleep. That's usually a good thing, because sleep is a powerful status for your opponents to inflict. But these abilities also block you from putting yourself to sleep with rest. That means if you want to heal yourself, you have to choose other options. Between you and me, you should probably be choosing other options anyway. Rest and Sleep Talk aren't very good moves nowadays, although Resto Chesto is pretty good for certain Pokemon.
That's like a great name for a strategy, I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
This pair of abilities is especially well known because Delibird has both of them. When abilities were introduced in Gen 3, Delibird got Vital Spirit and Hustle. Then hidden abilities were added in Gen 5, and Delibird was given Insomnia as well. This guy's always been an atrocious Pokemon, and getting a redundant hidden ability did it no favors whatsoever. Oh well, at least we know it's a menace to society in the distant future. Sweet Veil is similar to Insomnia and Vital Spirit, but it also keeps your teammates awake in double battles. Here's one that I just find funny. Stalwart and Propeller Tail were added in Generation 8. Both abilities cause your move to always hit your intended target. If your move would have been redirected by something like Rage Powder, Ally Switch, or Storm Drain, these abilities will ignore their effects. Propeller Tail is a signature ability of Barraskewda, and Stalwart belongs to Duraludon, as well as its evolution Archaludon. The building and the fish have the same ability, and I just think that's fun. So you know how Duraludon weighs like 88 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, Archaludon weighs 130, which is still less than both of us. We weigh more than a building.
These aren't the most practical abilities in the universe though. They're completely worthless in singles, but Duraludon would usually use Stalwart in doubles. That's mostly because its abilities are pretty underwhelming though. Its other options are Heavy Metal and Light Metal, which double and half its weight respectively. Big whoop. Weight is- you mean you could get a Duraludon with Light Metal and it would be like
45 pounds.
Yeah, okay. Weight is very, very rarely a factor in Pokemon battles, so changing it is kind of a waste of an ability slot. Redirection moves and abilities are common in doubles, so Stalwart is more likely to, you know, do something. Archaludon was introduced in Gen 9, and it was given Stamina, previously the signature ability of Mudsdale. This ability raises your defense anytime you get hit, which is awesome. That's about 1,000,000 times more impactful than Stalwart, so this dud of an ability died a slow, painful death. The end.
Barraskewda doesn't have much of a reason to use Propeller Tail either. Its other ability is Swift Swim, which is incredible. This ability doubles your speed in the rain, which makes it a force to be reckoned with if you pair it with the right teammates. Hello, Kyogre. Slap on a Choice Band, and you've got water moves that are really strong and really fast. Swift Swim Barraskewda can drown the opposing team if they're not ready. Propeller Tail Barraskewda, not so much.
These next two abilities are an absolute godsend in Nuzlocke challenges. Battle Armor and Shell Armor prevent your opponents from ever landing critical hits against you. In a Nuzlocke, you have to beat every battle on your first try, because anytime one of your Pokemon faints, they're considered dead and you can't use them again. If all of your Pokemon die in the same battle, you white out and the run is over.
Critical hits make Nuzlocke battles more difficult to plan for, because you have to remember that at any point, your opponent could do way more damage than expected at random. If your current Pokemon will survive a regular hit, but they'll faint to a crit, you're better off switching to something that will always survive. You never know when critical hits will throw your plans out of whack, so Battle Armor and Shell Armor are a great form of insurance against them.
These abilities are also viable in competitive play, but a lot of Pokemon that get them have other good options as well. Cloyster almost always uses Skill Link instead of Shell Armor, Kingler would rather use Sheer Force and pair it with a Life Orb to do about 1 trillion damage, and so on and so on. Some Pokemon will prefer the armor abilities in certain contexts though. If you're not running any recoil moves on Marowak, Rockhead will never activate, which makes Battle Armor the logical choice.
Here's one of the best pairs of ability clones. Protean was absolutely fantastic when it was added in Gen 6. Anytime you use a move, Protean makes you change types to match that move. As an example, Greninja is normally a Water Dark type, but if you use a move like Sludge Wave, it'll become a pure Poison type. This works for your original types too. If you use Water Shuriken, Greninja becomes a pure Water type. Protean was also given to Kecleon at the same time. That's fun. Too bad Kecleon is so weak.
Cinderace was introduced in Gen 8 and it was given the ability Libero, which works the same way. These abilities are incredible because of how they boost your damage output. Since you always change types to match the move you're using, you're getting the same type attack bonus on every attack. That means every move does 50% more damage than usual. So despite being a pure fire type right off the bat, Cinderace's Pyro Ball hits just as hard as its Gunk Shot in Gen 8.
Being able to change types on a whim is a huge deal offensively, but also provides defensive benefits. Each time you change types, you switch to a different set of weaknesses. That also makes it harder for your opponent to hit you for super effective damage, because they have to predict what type you'll be next time they attack.
Meowscarada also got Protean in Gen 9, but these abilities were nerfed for Scarlet and Violet. Now they only activate once per switch-in, meaning you don't get Stab all the time anymore. They're not the worst abilities in the universe, but these Pokemon don't always use the nerf version in competitive play. Sometimes you're better off choosing their standard pinch abilities.
I just want you all to know that that paragraph that Elias just read is in 66-point font in our script, and he read it like that anyway. Get yourself a friend like Elias.
I just show up and I read the scripts, man.
This next pair of abilities is probably the best in the whole video as of now. Medichamp's signature ability is Pure Power, and several other Pokemon have Huge Power. These abilities double your attack stat for free, which is absolutely bonkers. Mega Mawile has the highest vanilla attack stat out of this bunch, clocking with an already solid base stat of 110. Assuming it has perfect EVs and IVs and an attack boosting nature, Huge Power makes its attack stat equivalent to base 259. That's significantly stronger than Mega Mewtwo X's base attack stat of 190, which makes Mega Mawile the hardest hitting Pokemon in the game. Not bad for, some scrub you find in Granite Cave, huh?
You know who else is the hardest hitting Pokemon in the game?
My mom! Yeah!
Not only are these great abilities, but the Pokemon that get them can typically boost their damage output even further. Mega Mawile and Diggersby can learn Swords Dance, Azumarill can max out its attack stat in one turn with Belly Drum, and Medicham can learn, Work Up, Meditate, Acupressure. Well, they can't all be winners, I guess. Mega Medicham still hits like a truck right out of the box, so it's all good. Most of these Pokemon can also choose to hold a Choice Band, which boosts their damage right off the bat.
Moxie is a pretty nice boosting ability. Anytime you knock your opponent out with an attack, Moxie raises your attack by 1 stage. When you score a KO, you're already in a pretty good position, and Moxie helps you keep that momentum rolling. In Generation 8, the new legendary Glastrier was added, and its ability Chilling Neigh is functionally identical to Moxie.
By extension, Ice Rider Calyrex also has access to Chilling Neigh. When Calyrex fuses with Glastrier, their ability as one combines Chilling Neigh with Calyrex's Unnerve. Why not just give Glastrier Moxie? Because there's another horse you could decide to fuse with. Spectreer's ability Grim Neigh is the same, but it raises special attack when you get a KO instead. If you're gonna give the Ghost Horse a signature ability, you may as well give the Frozen Horse one too, you know?
But that's not the only time Game Freak has made a normal ability, then made a clone of it to give to legendaries. Mold Breaker is pretty handy, because it lets you ignore other Pokemon's abilities when you deal damage. That means you can hit something like Solrock with Earthquake, even though Levitate normally makes it immune to ground. You can also bypass Multiscale's damage reduction, work around the evasion boost from Sandvale and Snowcloak, one-hit KO sturdy Pokemon, land critical hits on battle armor users, or hit Shedinja with whatever the heck you want. Well, except for normal and fighting moves, those still don't work. If your move will be inhibited in some way by your opponent's ability, Mold Breaker will usually ignore it.
All of the box legendaries in Gen 5 were given clones of Mold Breaker. Reshiram and White Kyurem have Turbo Blaze, and Zekrom and Black Kyurem have Terravolt. Why not just give them Mold Breaker? Who knows, man? Well, it's better than giving every legendary in the observable universe pressure, at least. Literally all the legendaries from the first 2 generations have pressure, aside from the mythicals. The same goes for standard Kyurem and the Gen 4 box legendaries, but I digress.
Next up, 2 abilities that are the same and one that's a slight upgrade. Filter and Solid Rock make super effective moves do less damage to you. As an example, Caracasa is 4 times weak to Grass, but if it has Solid Rock, it'll be 3 times weak instead. It's still probably gonna die, but hey, baby steps. Similarly, Filter Mr. Mime is only 1.5 times weak to Ghost.
In Generation 7, the legendary Pokemon Necrozma was added, and its ability Prism Armor works the same way. It also reduces super effective damage, but it has one small advantage. Some moves and abilities ignore the target's abilities, such as Mold Breaker, Sunsteel Strike, and Moongeist Beam. These tools can ignore Filter and Solid Rock to deal more damage, but they can't ignore Prism Armor. Necrozma's fusions with Solgaleo and Lunala get Prism Armor too. That makes Duskmane Necrozma 1.5 times weak to Ground, Ghost, Fire, and Dark, and it makes Dawnwings Necrozma 3 times weak to Dark and Ghost.
Here's another set of abilities with similar properties. White Smoke and Clear Body prevents opponents from lowering your stat stages. So for example, if an Intimidate Pokemon switches in against you, these abilities will block the attack drop. But Clear Body and White Smoke only work on stat stages, so Paralysis can still drop your speed, Burn can still drop your attack, and so on and so on. They also don't work on self-inflicted stat drops, so if you use Close Combat or Shell Smash, your defensive stats will still drop. Solgaleo's ability Full Metal Body works the same way.
Just like the last bunch of abilities, Full Metal Jacket, Full Metal Alchemist, Full Metal Body can't be ignored by other moves and abilities, but White Smoke and Clear Body can. In the same vein, Lunala's ability Shadow Shield is also an upgraded version of Multiscale. Both abilities have the damage you take when you're at full health, but Shadow Shield can't be ignored, so that means all of the Gen 7 box legendary abilities are just ripoffs. Oh well.
Rayquaza's ability Airlock cancels out the effects of weather conditions. While it's on the field, fire moves won't be boosted in the sun, thunder and hurricane can miss in the rain, rock types won't become bulkier in the sand, and so on and so on. And that makes perfect sense from a lore perspective. The same way it stops Groudon and Kyogre's fight and cancel weather forever, it can also wipe out weather on the battlefield. It can still learn most of the weather setting moves though, even though they won't do anything while it's on the field. Weird.
Anyway, this ability is the same as Cloud9, which was introduced at the same time. It was Golduck's signature ability, so Golduck has the same weather powers as the green jump rope of Doom. Fun. Since then, several other Pokemon have gotten it as a hidden ability, namely Licky, Altaria, and Drampa. For more videos like this, subscribe to MEPlaysGames and consider becoming a channel member.
Receiver is Passimian's signature ability, and Power of Alchemy is Alolan Mux. These abilities don't do anything in single battles, but they have a pretty interesting effect in doubles. If your teammate faints while Muk or Passimian is on the field, they'll copy the teammate's ability, replacing Power of Alchemy or Receiver. So even though you lost a Pokemon, the one you do still have in the field gets stronger. Well, most of the time at least. If you pair Receiver with the True and Slacking, well, you're in trouble.
Here are two signature abilities with the same effect. If Wimpod takes damage and falls below half health, its ability Wimp Out will activate, forcing it to switch out. That's the same as Emergency Exit, which belongs to Wimpod's own evolution Golisopod. It's worth noting that each ability has a different flavor text. The game describes Wimp Out as a cowardly switch, and Emergency Exit as a tactical one, which our comment section isn't buying apparently.
These abilities can be helpful, but they're mostly just a nuisance. If Golisopod is forced to switch out in competitive play, it'll likely take entry hazard damage on its way back in. That's really not what you want, especially since Golisopod is a bug type. That makes it weak to Stealth Rock, one of the standard entry hazards, and if your opponent is faster than you, which they probably are, they can force Golisopod to switch before it's able to attack. You just don't get to move that turn, and on top of that, you have to send a different Pokemon in against your will.
In competitive play, Golisopod often holds a Citrus Berry to mitigate Emergency Exit's negative effects.
I love how you stop to ask how I pronounce it, and then you're just like, I'm just gonna keep doing it my way.
Of course I'm gonna keep doing it my way.
You're fired.
Okay, see you later. Peace out, have fun.
He actually left the call, guys.
Okay, I'm back. Have you realized that you need me yet? This item heals a quarter of your max health if you drop below half. If Golisopod falls below half health, but the Citrus Berry heals it back above half, Emergency Exit won't activate. These abilities aren't all bad because Wimp Out and Emergency Exit can allow other teammates to switch in safely, but for the most part, they're less than ideal. Next up, Cofagrigus' signature ability is Mummy. Whenever it gets hit by a contact move, it'll spread Mummy to the Pokemon that hit it, wiping out their existing ability. A lot of Pokemon rely on their ability to do well in battle, so getting it replaced with Mummy can be a pretty big blow. If your opponent isn't careful, they can lose incredible abilities like Huge Power, Technician, Pixelate, and Wonder Guard.
Rest in peace, Shedinja, 2002 to 2024.
He died?
No, but it's not in Gen 9 because it would be overpowered.
He died.
Oinkolone's ability, Lingering Aroma, works the same way, although there's one weird thing I wanted to point out. Only male Oinkolone have this ability. Female Oinkolone get the standard ability Aroma Veil instead. For whatever reason, they didn't get a signature ability of their own. Cofagrigus' Galarian cousin Runerigus has a similar ability in Wandering Spirit, but instead of simply replacing its attacker's ability, making contact causes the two Pokemon to swap abilities.
The Rocky Helmet is a pretty nice held item. The channel is about to be deleted if I don't say this correctly right here.
I'm changing the password.
If a Pokemon makes contact with the holder, the attacker loses 1/6 of their max HP. Lucky. You're so lucky. The channel gets to exist another day. The abilities Rough Skin and Iron Barbs are basically Diet Rocky Helmets. Making contact costs the attacker 1/8 of their max health instead of 1/6.
A handful of Pokemon have these abilities, but the most notable ones are Garchomp and Ferrothorn. In fact, in certain competitive metagames, Rough Skin is actually mandatory on Garchomp. Its other ability, Sandveil, is usually banned in singles, because evasion strats are stupid and terrible and bad.
I usually just run 3 double team Emolgos with Volt Switch.
Scumbag!
I'm just kidding.
He's not.
Yeah.
He has terrorized me with double team Emolgas ever since I was born.
3 Pokemon have abilities that protect themselves from priority moves, as well as their teammates. Bruxish's ability Dazzling, Tsarina's Queenly Majesty, and Farigiraf's Armor Tail all prevent priority moves from working. Farigiraf has seen quite a bit of success in VGC lately, and part of the reason for that is Armor Tail. Priority moves are all over the place in doubles, so being able to block fake outs and sucker punches and such is really nice.
2 abilities lower your opponent's speed if they make contact with you. Alolan Dugtrio has Tangled Hair, and Goodra and Wugtrio have Gooey. Pretty nice abilities, but Goodra will usually go for Sap Sipper instead. A Grass immunity can be pretty handy, and it can boost your attack stat on top of that. Tangling Hair is typically Alolan Dugtrio's ability of choice in singles, partially because Sandveil is still banned.
These next 2 abilities are not good. Plus and minus boost your teammate's special attack by 50%, but only if they also have plus or minus. These abilities are exclusive to electric and steel type Pokemon, so if you have 2 plus or minus Pokemon in your side of the field, you're practically begging to be mollywopped by an earthquake.
These abilities didn't always work quite like that though. In modern games, you can have 2 plus Pokemon, 2 minus Pokemon, or 1 of each on the battlefield, and the abilities will activate. But back in Gens 3 and 4, you have to have 1 of each for them to work. So you couldn't use 2 plus Pokemon, for example. You have to bring a minus 1 as well. Klinklang was added after these abilities were changed, and it was given both of them. Since plus and minus are completely interchangeable starting in Gen 5, Klinklang has a dud ability slot.
He's 6'7", 130. Hit the gym, bro.
That's not a healthy weight for a human. You're telling me a metal building weighs less than a healthy 6'7" person? Get over yourself.
No, football is the game that's played with your hands, and soccer is the game that's played with your feet.
Soccer's a game played with your head. I know what you're talking about.
True. Excuse you, disgusting.
Yeah, I suck and I should feel bad.
Disgusting, you should feel bad. That's absolutely horrendous.
I'm gonna bleep out that burp. Yeah, you're fine, I think. How long a walk is it to the gym?
4 hours.
Oh. Well, goodbye forever then.
4 hours there, 6 hours back, uphill all 3 directions.
In the snow on the way back.
Yeah. Thunderstorm in the morning, hailstorm at night. Well, that's all we got for today. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment about Wartortle. We'll see you all next time. Good night, fellas. Sleep well. I swear to God, if I see a single comment about Squirtle or Blastoise, this channel is going to get